When Mass Effect Legendary Edition was announced back on N7 Day, or otherwise known as November 7th, I couldn't hold back my excitement. This is what I have wanted for quite a while. A way to play Mass Effect without needing to take out my older systems or deal with the PC port of the first title. However, when I heard that there would be massive tweaks added to Mass Effect 1, my favorite in the series, I became a little skeptical.
You okay?
Been better, but it sure is good to see a friendly face.
I'll touch on Mass Effect 2 and 3 now as they remain mostly unchanged. There's some visual tweaks, but for the most part everything feels exactly how I remember. I did notice some awkwardness to the visuals at first and a little texture pop in, but on PlayStation 5 the games didn't crash and otherwise performed well except for some random dips. Probably the most remarkable thing about the inclusion of these titles is that they include the Genesis interactive comic. This comic was a way to let players customize their Shepard backstory in Mass Effect 2, as Mass Effect 1 wouldn't release until a few years later. This includes Mass Effect 3, so if you really don't want to play the previous games in the series, you can quickly jump to the final installment and go through the comic and know everything you need to know. Even though I would argue that you shouldn't just skip to the last game, the fact that BioWare acknowledged that people would do it and gave them a choice is nice to see. Something else that stood out to me was that the character creator now has an editable number sequence at the bottom of the screen for all games. This allows you to create a character, save the code, and then have it for new characters or just share it with friends. This simple change is excellent for the community and for people wanting to share their Shepards with everyone else, making a great experience that goes past just the game. However, I know what's on everyone's mind and something that probably kept me up at night, which is the camera angles. If you have been around any of the discourse surrounding the release, you would know about one in specific, and honestly, I don't think it changes much of the character. The angle itself is pretty much the same, just zoomed in on Shepard more, so that you are focused on the scene. Other than these apparent changes, both games look good and are the best ways to play them today. Mass Effect 1 is slightly more complicated for me, and I'll start by focusing on the significant changes the Legendary Edition adds. The UI looks much cleaner than it used to, and visually brings it closer in line with the sequels. This is most apparent when using skills like Barrier that give you extra shields, which now have a special effect to actually see that it has been activated. There are also quite a few performance issues from the original release that have been fixed, the most notably being the intro scene. This scene initially chugged and made me fear that my game would crash on console, but here it plays flawlessly. There are a number of minor hiccups everywhere though, like Shepard dropping into the world in specific areas, but I remember this from the original and it doesn't happen enough to really cause an issue. The character models from Mass Effect 1 have been upscaled to 4K, with lighting changed to make the game look more polished. This was improved from a day one patch that made the models look significantly better. Combat-wise, Mass Effect 1 has always been vastly different when compared to the sequels. The entry was made as an RPG and balanced around your gun being a normal attack, like a turn-based RPG. This had skills on a cooldown to avoid you from spamming them while on your turn. The only thing that really changed has been that the game has an over-the-shoulder perspective, and the overheat function has been altered slightly. Guns still overheat, but they seem to cool down much faster. As long as I stopped shooting shortly before the overheat, I could resume again no problem. A simple change like that does make playing soldier and other weapon-based classes much more fun. Surprisingly, every difficulty is unlocked right up to insanity at the beginning of the game. This is a godsend to returning players since you don't have to beat the game 4 times to unlock higher difficulties. Further, you can now either level up to 30 or 60 like in the original. However, the stat progression is no different in terms of which you choose to max. It comes off as a way to make the game go by faster, as if you're being pushed through Mass Effect 1 as quickly as possible to get to the sequels. Mass Effect Legendary Edition has so much to offer fans and newcomers despite Mass Effect 1 showing its age in some areas. The collection does a great job of preserving these titles for future generations to create their own Shepards and experience this space adventure. Thankfully, there's plenty of quality of life systems addressed in this remaster, making it one that is packed with exciting narratives and memorable action. Noisy Pixel is giving Mass Effect Legendary Edition an 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.